Alright, we got the can of butter, something to drain into, a spoon to press, a bowl to discard, and something to store the butter. Right? I'm just targeting the butter and the water right now. It's just one of the techniques I kind of do. Usually I use a bigger spoon, but so I cook the butter for around 8 hours. Then before that I add butter in the crock pot, let it melt. Then I add like 3/4 full water, and then I add the cannabis once it starts warming up, and I cook it for 8 hours from there. You can go up to 12 hours. So you can see all the brown or whatever, that's all butter. So we did 2 pounds of butter for 2 ounces of cannabis. So here it is, 2 pounds. On top of all that is butter. The bottom is water. Then we're gonna do saran wrap on the lid so there'll be no leaks for sure. So how I do it, I just probably get a piece so I could fold it 3 times, once across, 2 long ways, and I just add it straight to the top because I turn it upside down. So when you release, it's going to release the water first, and then the butter is right on top, so you can just spoon that right out of the case. Next step would be to put it in the fridge so it could harden. Then let out the water, and then lay the can of butter like on a paper towel or a really unfuzzy towel, like just a smooth cloth instead of anything fuzzy. So here's 2 pounds of butter. All right, here's the bowl, and here's the paper towel I was talking about. Then I'll just set that in a bowl. Then what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna break it up so it could kind of all the butter could be even, and then you can pop it in the microwave until it kind of melts on defrost, or you can do it on top of the stove is probably preferred. But here it is melted. So what I'm gonna do with that gar gum is I'm gonna get a tablespoon of the gar gum for each pound of butter, and I'm gonna sift it through the strainer so it won't clog up. Then you want to stir here really good because you don't want any lumps or anything. So 2 pounds of butter, 2 pounds of gar gum, I think it's called. So make sure you stir good, always stir good. But then next step will be I'm going to have to put this in the freezer until it like half freezes. See right here? The inside will be like wet basically, but the outside will be kind of, not frozen, but it'd be much harder. So you put it in the freezer, then you scrape it like I'm doing here. Very important. Scraping is like the most important thing. Scrape all the frozen stuff off and mix it in. So when you use a hand mixer, you can mix everything all together. So you're going to mix this for a couple minutes. Definitely a good mix. So first melt, then freeze, scrape, mix, and then this next step is going to be back into the freezer for another couple minutes right after we scrape. We scrape every time we move it, we scrape it. So we take it out of the freezer, we scrape it. After we mix it, we scrape it. Before we put it in the freezer, we scrape it. So we're always scraping, mixing everything together. So when you put the mixer through, it'll definitely mix everything. I use this paper towel to keep the edges clean so your finger can stay clean. There's just a repeat thing. Mix, scrape, freeze, scrape. Mix, scrape, freeze, scrape. What you're looking for is all one color. You don't want to see any streaks or anything like that. So that's why we're mixing and freezing and scraping multiple times until you don't see anything but just one color. I mean, everything's looking pretty good right here, but I think I'm going to go one more time because I do see just slightly different colors. But with this technique, you're definitely mixing the flour and the butter together fully. There's not going to be more cannabis here or more butter there. It's going to be, everything's going to be 100% even. So when you make cookies or whatever, you're not going to, well, let's show you a before and after here. In the next video, I'll tell you the steps I went through, or the best steps that you can go through. Yeah, to make your cannabutter. And here is how it's basically going to look. Then you just add it to the freezer. Here's your finished product.